Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad-Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, Chapter 8, text number 65. Rajavacha Suto me balako Brahman Strainenanu Karunatmana Nirvasitah Panchavarshaha Sahamatra Mahan Kavihi. Translation purport by His Divine Grace C.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. The king replied, O best of the Brahmanas, I am very much addicted to my wife, and I am so fallen that I abandoned all merciful behavior, even to my son, who is only 5 years old. I have banished him and his mother, even though he is a great soul and a great devotee. Purport. In this verse, there are some specific words which are to be understood very carefully. The king said that since he was very much addicted to his wife, he had lost all his mercy. That is the result of becoming too affectionate toward women. The king had 2 wives. The first wife was Suniti, the second was Suruchi. He was too attached to the second wife. However, so he could not behave well with Dhruva Maharaj. That was the cause of Dhruva's leaving home to perform austerities. Although as a father, the king was affectionate toward his son, he minimized his affection for Dhruva Maharaj because he was too much addicted to the second wife. Now he was repenting that both Dhruva Maharaj and his mother Suniti were practically banished. Dhruva Maharaj went to the forest, and his mother was being neglected by the king. She was therefore almost banished also. The king repented having banished his boy. For Dhruva Maharaj was only 5 years old, and a father should not banish his wife and children or neglect their maintenance. Repentance over his neglect of both Suniti and her son, he was morose, and his face appeared withered. According to Manusmriti, one should never desert his wife and children. In a case where the wife and children are disobedient and do not follow the principles of home life, they are sometimes given up. But in the case of Dhruva Maharaj, this was not applicable because Dhruva was very mannerly and obedient. Moreover, he was a great devotee. Such a person is never to be neglected, yet the king was obliged to banish him. Now he was very sorry. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. So now the king is speaking to Narada Rishi, who has arrived in the palace, and Narada Rishi has inquired from him, why are you looking so morose? Something is bothering you. Is there something that any of your desires have been upset? So for which king replied, I am very much addicted to my wife, and I am so fallen that because of that I abandoned all merciful behavior to my son and to my wife, especially to my son who is 5 years old. I banished him and his mother, even though he is a great soul and a great devotee. So here is a situation where Prabhupada is explaining how when one becomes overly attached to one's wife or women, or attached to those men who act like women. Today we have to be very accurate when we talk about women. Always we have to be accurate. All the more nowadays we have to be very accurate because lot of generalizations are there about women. These are all ideal situations where women act as proper Vedic women, men act as proper Vedic men. So general statements that are made from these kind of leelas, it should not be generalized, it should be applied in each situation. Especially so if somebody is engaged in devotion service of the Lord. That way, no doubt, the guna karma of male, guna karma of female will affect everybody unless we are liberated. So everybody should know their limitations. And some of the principles are mentioned here. That is what we need to understand. That is the reason I said that one will be prejudiced if by anybody whom he gets too attached to. That not necessarily mean only women. In any matter, when there is too much attachment, why there is attachment? There is attachment because there is something for me to gain from them. There's an ongoing exchange of something. So therefore, there is attachment. Attachment means you don't want to break that. If you break that, what you are getting from there, you'll stop. So attachment comes due to, in the material world, attachment comes due to give and take. So then here what has happened? The king was influenced by his second wife. Her displeasure affected him. Therefore, he lost his merciful quality. And he treated Dhruva Maharaj in a manner in which he got very much insulted. It's a momentary act. No doubt, very fact that the king is repenting now, I shouldn't have done that. But this is what happens when we are very attached, then we make prejudiced decisions, prejudiced action, which may lead to injustice to others. In this case, it led injustice to Dhruva Maharaj, because he was also his son. So, this is very much normal in this material world. The basic thing that we need to understand is that if we have to be on the right path, if you have to do the right thing in every situation, then we should try to free ourselves from the attachments that we have. And sometimes this is very difficult because mind is prejudiced. Just like if a relative of a judge files a case, it goes before the judge. Judge is made a judge. Why? Because he is impartial. But when it comes to that case, what does he do? He will say, not before me. Why? Because whatever you do, some prejudice will be there. So I cannot give justice. My relative and somebody else is fighting with. So I'll be inclined. Mind is like that. I'll be inclined. Everybody knows the limitation. This is the practice in the courts. In fact, if without him saying I won't hear, if he hears, it will become a big scandal. Even if you connect, for instance, the judge is hearing a case. Before he became a judge, he was an advocate, and somebody is his client. And that client files a case, and that case goes before the judge. Judge has to say, not before me. These are all the things that are followed in the material world also. So we have to know our limitation. Just like we have got related party transactions. In Akshay Patra. We are Akshay Patra. We are also Hare Krishna movement, ISKCON. So when we take a decision on behalf of Akshay Patra, because both entities spiritually for us it is one, but for the world it is two. The conditions are to be independently met. The conditions of using charity money has to be independently met in Akshay Patra, independently met in Hare Krishna movement. Here also we are answerable, there also we are answerable. So when we take a decision, one should not give undue advantages to one using the other. So this is a very difficult task. Just like the judge says, I won't hear this matter. So the ideal thing is, any matter that is coming like this, related party, the person who has got dual interest should hand over the decision to a neutral person. I will not take decision in this. This is the ideal thing. Somebody else take decision, onus is on them. I don't want my prejudice to come. So we should know the limitations of our mind. Mind is like that because attachment means in our chittam there is inclination. There's inclination to favor, inclination to please more to whom you are attached. When a judge is dealing with two matters, he is not inclined. I don't know you, I don't know you. Let me see what is fairness. I'll see the facts and see the fairness. So a very good principle that Prabhupada is talking here, that when there is attachment, there will be prejudice towards the particular thing. There's nothing wrong. Attachment means, it's like you please each other and all these things. But when it comes to comparison, one should be very careful in not to deal unfairness or not to be unfair. That is the point. Material life, there is attachment. We are attached. Spiritual life also we are attached. Spiritual life, we are attached to Prabhupada, we are attached to Krishna. Now these attachments are absolute. Attached to Prabhupada, attached to Krishna are absolute. When you are attached to Prabhupada and Krishna as absolute, then we can be inclined towards them because their interests are absolute interests. But we cannot concord what is that absolute interest according to our understanding. There are many, just like Prabhupada has said, not a farthing collected for food should be used for anything else. Now this is an absolute, Prabhupada has made this statement. Especially in certain circumstances he has made. So whatever Prabhupada has said, you have to understand according to circumstances. And the particular circumstances where Prabhupada made this statement was when in America money was collected in the name of feeding, and that feeding was not happening in Mayapur. So therefore Prabhupada instructed that you should not. There may be so many reasons why Prabhupada had said. Now we cannot say, I am holier than Prabhupada. It's all for Krishna only. Whether I feed or whether I use for deity worship, it is all for Krishna only. That license we do not have. That is why we have to understand. We cannot, while being attached to Prabhupada and Krishna, by being attached to Prabhupada and Krishna's wish and will, we have to try to be very accurate. And if we are not accurate in the material world, there will be reactions. Material world will give us problems. Krishna and Prabhupada is very merciful. He teaches the devotees. No, please be accurate. Be intelligent. In the material world also, when we preach Krishna consciousness, we have to be intelligent. Otherwise, we will damage the institution of Prabhupada. We have to be intelligent. The laws of nature will act. And even though we have done for Krishna, unnecessarily we have to go through a lot of anxieties, because that is the nature of the material world. So all the trouble can be saved if even if, in the case of we are attached to Prabhupada and Krishna, and that attachment is absolute. And when we make decisions with respect to so many other things, then we have to be very accurate. Prabhupada's wish, just like you see, Prabhupada, the founder Acharya, he believed in an organization that is decentralized. He did not want a corporate kind of a thing. He only wanted GBC to have an oversight, but not control over the details in a temple. In the material world, there is a reporting relationship where every detail one gets into, just like a temple commander is answerable to the temple president for every detail. But a temple president has got freedom. He's answerable. Everybody is answerable in this material world. President is answerable, GBC is answerable, everybody is answerable for his actions. It is called working freedom. In a decentralized system, there is a working freedom for the temple president so that it is efficient. Does not have to. GBC is not there always. He is the person who is there. He has to dole out, different kinds of preaching activities. So he has to take guidance wherever he needs. The devotee, the temple president should take guidance from the GBC, from senior devotees. Not that the temple president, because there is freedom, he develops an attitude of independence, because attitude of independence is the most dangerous thing in spiritual life. Working freedom is never misinterpreted to be the independence. So that in that mood, say, Prabhupada has said that this organization should be decentralized. Very good. We have to be accurate. We cannot say, oh, here something will work, so let us try to centralize all temples. No, for preaching Krishna consciousness, the way Prabhupada has given us the way is to have independent centers, where it is not about the freedom alone. Freedom is accompanied by great responsibility. Freedom is not for enjoying. The freedom of a temple president to operate is for executing a greater responsibility. That burden he has to take. Freedom goes with responsibility, and responsibility goes with freedom. In work, I am telling. In work, at the soul level, we don't feel free. We are free. We are always under Prabhupada, Krishna, authorities. That attitude never changes. So that is what we learn. We make the devotees to learn the attitude of servitude as a foundation. Not simply because somebody is very capable, he can be the temple president. He has to have gone through the foundation of principle of being servant and servitude. Only those who have followed can become a leader. Only those who are experienced following can become a leader to lead other followers. I can simply manage very well. I can simply, I was a CEO in some company. Now I have joined the, Prabhupada's temple. So immediately I can manage the temple very nicely. No, but that is, you'll just feed your anarthas. You have to learn how to dovetail your anartha. For that, it takes time. You have to change their attitude is at the foundation. At the very foundation of every thinking, feeling, and willing is an attitude. So we want to develop Krishna conscious attitude while doing service. Krishna conscious attitude is very important. If attitude is wrong, then we cannot. It will be like a karmi community. So anything even when we are attached to Prabhupada and Krishna, we have to be guided by his instructions. We have to think. And when there is confusion, then Vaishnavas should all sit and discuss, praying for Prabhupada and Krishna to give us inspiration and direction, how we can move forward and preach Krishna consciousness in a successful way. Though Prabhupada said, it is not that Prabhupada was against centralized organization. He was against centralized organization for temples. Bhaktivedanta Book Trust, Prabhupada centralized. Centralized means one person, one head office will print all the books. They will produce the books. They will distribute the books. You are all customers. All temples are customers. That means it's a centralized model. All the finances are all centralized. You're only customers. You order books, you buy it. Why? Because it is advantageous there. There are certain advantages that Prabhupada has seen in such an organization as far as one item called book production. But otherwise in a temple there are multiple activities. It's not about book production. So many activities are there. So it is easy to centralize if it is one product. In the same way, it is easy to centralize one product. Let's say midday meal. One product, no confusion. And it has the whole organization of Akshaya Patra. Because of that one, we are able to raise so much funds. That's the biggest advantage. Centralized, accountable way. We are able to tell the world, corporate world, look, everything is accounted properly. There is a centralized control. All these things. When they see that, okay. Confident. So there is a great advantage today that whole program is running largely by liberal contributions from different business houses, corporates, HNIs, individuals. Why? They all have a confidence. So there has to be. Cannot be. If it is decentralized, if Akshaya Patra gets decentralized, then each temple has to collect money for running that. Obviously, we know we have got other things to do. We cannot focus only on midday meal. We have to run our temples. We have to run preaching programs. So many things. So it's a great advantage that, in one place, it's a miracle that this Akshaya Patra organization is created wonders for preaching. It is not only prasad distribution. Beyond that, it has created wonders. The intangible, the reputation that Prabhupada's organization has got in this country is unparalleled. Unparalleled. So you can see from the result that this kind of an arrangement, which has produced wonderful fruits, so much so that even the other is, other camp or ISKCON camp, they also, wherever they go, they meet big politicians, everywhere they talk about, also we are feeding Akshay Patra. When there was problem in Russia, some land issues and all that thing. So that time they went to Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Delhi people went to Atal Bihari Vajpayee and they told about, at that time they had not started any Anna Amrita. No, there was no midday meal. They did not have that time. So they told Atal Bihari Vajpayee, see, so many children we are feeding and all those things. And Atal Bihari Vajpayee was supposed to go to Russia. That's why they went and spoke to him, so that he can speak to Putin. Talk about our, Hindu land and land the Hindus and all this thing. So he went to Russia and he spoke about it. It's a very good organization. They're feeding poor children, so many they're feeding. So that is the kind of reputation that today Akshay Patra has brought in the minds of all the politicians, in the minds of all the leaders, in the minds of all the everybody. It is unbelievable. It is an impact that it has created. It has created a groundwork for preaching, because if somebody has to listen to you, in the material world, it's not important what you speak. Who speaks is also important. So now in their mind, who is speaking? Not what you speak. When you speak Bhagavad Gita, first they'll see who is speaking. Krishna is Supreme Personality. You give message of this thing, they're ready to hear, because they're sitting with reverence. Oh, Swamiji has come. So that is the kind of thing that, so we have to see whatever, and so in that case, we have to apply the same thing that we apply for how we have to see what Prabhupada said in these situations, where, for instance, this Prabhupada's instruction in the context of creating disreputation due to not using the money collected for food for something else. So our context is exactly the same. It is all for Krishna we are serving, but then this unprejudiced way, every penny collected from the public in the name of Akshay Patra should be utilized for feeding the children. Otherwise, we will get Krishna karma. In devotion service also, if you don't do according to what Prabhupada said something, you will get reaction which is under the shelter of Prabhupada and Krishna only, because he wants to teach. Krishna karma means Krishna and Prabhupada only is avoiding those troubles. Devotees are not under the laws of material nature. If material nature has to affect, Krishna and Prabhupada themselves will give it, so that you learn. You learn how to, preach Krishna consciousness in an intelligent manner. So this prejudice aspect is, everyone should understand that he has a mind, and therefore prejudice will operate. You cannot say, I will not prejudice. That is the reason why we discuss. Oh, his prejudice is different. His prejudice is different. His prejudice is different. Let us hear objectively. Then you hear, okay. Look at his perspective. Look at his perspective. Then what happens? There is no prejudice. Ultimately, prejudice can be reduced by discussion. One mind dealing with matters is very, 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 very risky. That is the reason why it is said that the Vaishnavas always consult other Vaishnavas. One should not be loaded with ahankara. My conclusion is the conclusion. You should say, my conclusion is a conclusion as per my prejudices, as my understanding, as my limited understanding, or as per my broad understanding. But it is all based on something. There's a background to it. Then you can convince the others, okay, this is my background towards my conclusion. Please, I will present it. One should exchange those. Then there is a broader understanding. Somebody who has got a narrow understanding will immediately hear this, oh, it's right, correct. I was blocked. My mind was blocked because of this. So open-mindedness has to be there. In order not to be, prejudiced in taking decisions for Srila Prabhupada's movement, in taking decision about devotees' problems in the community. We should be ready to review. Even after giving a decision, the leader should be ready to review it. Oh, do you want to say something from a different perspective? Let us hear. Even in the courts, there is a provision after the order is passed, judgment is passed, you can file a review petition. What is that review? It's not appeal. Appeal is different. Review means something obvious you have missed out. This fact you have missed out. This document you have missed out. You can file a review petition. Judge will see, oh, really, I could have. He'll modify the order. It's not an appeal. He'll modify the order. Means straightforward, obvious things. Then appeal is different. Appeal is different. Okay. The appeal says that no, the judge was prejudiced. He did not see the facts properly. So when you go appeal, that means you're asking for a new judge to independently see his decisions. That is appeal. So anyway, all these things are, we have to know the limitations of our mind. And in following Prabhupada's instruction, we need to be all mutually exchange different perspectives, and in the process pray to Prabhupada and Krishna that mystically they will intervene and will guide our entire movement. That is the idea of Prabhupada creating the GBC governing body, means collective thinking. Collective thinking can also go wrong. Just like individuals make mistake and learn, collective thinking, these are all talking about practical matters. Practical matters, today something may be good for the organization. In tomorrow's environment, that may not be good. These are not absolute. So according to different situations, we have to intelligently preach Krishna consciousness, bringing, reputation to Prabhupada. If you bring reputation to Prabhupada, you're automatically bringing reputation to his books. Please understand that. If you bring reputation to the Hare Krishna movement, if you bring reputation to ISKCON in the world, then they will extend that reputation to everything. When you go, now Akshay Patra is, when you go as a devotee to the government offices, they respect you so much because you are Akshay Patra. Right? It extends to that. When you give books out, they respect. When you go out to raise funds for our mission of Prabhupada, then they immediately say, oh, you people, you are the same people, you are doing Akshay Patra. This is called intangible because it is us. But we have to follow the worldly norms. That is very important. It requires, as I said, prejudice is natural. Prejudice is not a mistake. Prejudice is a natural trait. Therefore, we should overcome that by neutral party deciding. That is all. That is the thing. That limitation should be known. One should not think, no, I can objectively decide. No, you cannot. You cannot. You cannot perfectly, wear two hats. There will be some compromise. Any questions? So the king has made a related party decision. Now he is repenting. Now he is repenting. Because of this, I harmed Dhruva Maharaj. My interest is Dhruva Maharaj also equal. So Suniti is also equal. And the other wife is also equal. But I got prejudiced. Because I'm wearing so many hats. Husband hat, father hat. And if somebody is inclined towards one, then that's where it prejudice towards, in that particular direction, it will prejudice. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu, when there are two aspects, one is material aspects, one is spiritual aspect. We know we should not be attached to material aspect, but we should be attached to spiritual aspect. So in this case, we should be prejudiced towards spirituality. We should be attached towards spirituality, and our decision should be in favor of spirituality, not in the favor of materialism.
So
the principle of not being prejudiced, how do we understand this case? We should be crystal clear that
no, for devotee, there is nothing material. If he is engaging something in Krishna's service, it is spiritual. Everything is spiritual. Then it comes to service of the Lord. So spiritual, definition of spiritual means pleasure of Guru and Krishna. So we may be required to follow the strict norms of the tax authorities, strict norms of accounting, all these things which may appear like material, but they become spiritual for us. Because if you don't follow that, you will spoil the service of the Lord. Correct? So we have to adhere to all those things, which means it becomes spiritual for us. So meticulously we should follow those things also. Anything that hurts Krishna's interest, we should metically follow. That is spiritual. It may be looking like material requirements. End of the day, how it affects Krishna's work, how it affects Prabhupada's work, that will define what is material, what is spiritual. Okay. Is that your question?
Yes, bro, same thing.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Regarding the prejudice, let us say in our community, one of the devotees did some gross mistake in the eyes of the outside society. Now, as a temple manager, as a temple who is managing the temple, should we have the prejudiced mind in order to protect the devotee to somehow we need to do, even though grossly he did something mistake, appears to be.
If he's done mistake?
Appears to be he has done some mistake. Now he is
appears to be has done.
In the eyes of the in the eyes of the temple administration, it looks like there is a mistake he has done. Yes, he has done a mistake.
Correct.
Now it has come to the notice of the outside world.
Outside world.
Now, how the temple manager should look at the situation in terms of saving the devotee or let the devotee face the consequences. I should not do anything.
No, it all depends on case to case. We have to have compassion. We have to protect his devotional service in spite of having done mistake. Depends on what is the mistake. If there are small decision-making mistakes, you just ignore. It's a process of learning. Suppose devotee does something against the regulative principles, if something mistake is there. So then we have to balance between how to save his devotion service and how to save the reputation of the society is larger interest. So I cannot sacrifice Prabhupada's reputation to save the reputation of one devotee. This is the reason why we have to take harsh action. It is between Prabhupada's reputation and can I give mercy to this devotee by harming the reputation of Prabhupada? I cannot. So there is that stake is there. It's not against two individuals. It's not against manager and the devotee. The manager has to see, how does his mistake affect the entire institution? Do I have a right to create that vulnerability by hiding his faults or supporting his faults? Okay, internally we may say it is fault, we may accept, and all those things. Then the outside world will think, hey, we all saw this, how you people are. No, he did not do anything. We cannot say. So there also we have to, so it's a case to case. It's very complicated because it is devotee spiritual life is involved. So therefore there has to be principles of compassion. There has to be, have to be applied there. Not only that, protection of Prabhupada's institution is also important. So all these things are very important. When nothing was there, when no reputation was there was no need to protect. 1966, there was no reputation. Right? Prabhupada built the reputation. By 1977, he built the reputation. By the time the reputation came, now if something devotees do something wrong, then it will hit the thing. Just like when Prabhupada, he brought all the devotees to Vrindavan. And all these, Western devotees went to Loi Bazaar. And milk sweet shops were there. They used to just take it and eat and go. They won't buy. So this complaint came to Prabhupada. Okay. Krishna also stole sweet, no. Milk sweet, no. So all the Loi Bazaar fellows were worried. They came to Prabhupada and they complained to Prabhupada. Prabhupada called them and chastised them. Huh? I mean, okay, they ate milk sweet, nothing happened. Their Vaishnavas only ate. Prabhupada could have told the Vaishnavas only, no, leave them, no. Whenever they pass by, they like something, let them take and eat. Exactly this is what they were doing. The Prabhupada stopped them because reputation is involved. Reputation is involved. Initial days, book distribution in the airports in America used to happen very, in a way in which people used to be forcefully be stopped and all those things. So over the time it was, once reputation was getting spoiled, Prabhupada said, no, these techniques you cannot apply like these things. So these are all practical decisions. What could be applied one time cannot be applied now. Now after this many years of International Society for Krishna Consciousness, what will hit our organization is different from what would hit 20 years back. So therefore we have to meet up to that standards. If you want to milk the good reputation that we have, you cannot have the cake and eat it too, they say. You cannot have the reputation, at the same time you cannot do whatever you want. You develop a higher reputation, you have to go to a higher standards of compliance. And it's only benefiting us. Any other question? Grandaraj Srimad-Bhagavatam, okay.
Harishna Prabhu, you have mentioned that this is with a temple manager's has to consider from the devotee spiritual life point of view.
They have to?
We have to consider the devotee situation from his spiritual life point of view. Right? Is this the only consideration, or that there is no better corrective mechanism than being in Krishna consciousness. Is that also a one
No,
perspective?
That is about what to do with that for future, for that devotee. That is included in compassion. What is a corrective method? What is a reformatory program for that person? How to change his consciousness? How it doesn't repeat again? So compassion means not only, not only trying to keep him in Krishna consciousness movement, but trying to see that there is a rectification of his consciousness. That is also there. Definitely. What is a reformatory program? That's why sometimes, that we say, okay, we forgive, but there will be some punishment. Punishment is a wrong word. Because we have all voluntarily joined Krishna consciousness movement. What is punishment? Punishment means I don't like. Send somebody to jail is punishment. Means I don't like. But we have only reformation. That means I understand that I have to reform myself, so I will do assistant pujari work. Whatever assignment now you have, from some big service to, okay, do. Just simply be socially. Otherwise, all are big services in the eyes of Krishna. But socially, some things are okay, which we make beginners do. That is assistant pujari, cleaning the pots. These are things make me. So then that devotee becomes humble. It's a reformation. It will create a foundation for rest of his life if he understands it in a proper spirit and undertakes all the reformation that is being given to the devotee.
Prabhu, actually, the little elaboration is there on this question. There was a situation in Hawaii during Srila Prabhupada's time, wherein that temple president has sold away the temple, and the GBCs came and then did the whatever needful actions and all of those things, and the GBCs were pressurizing Srila Prabhupada that this person should be handed over to police.
Yeah.
So my reading of that statement was that there is no point in taking a material reformative process as compared to spiritual reformative process. I mean, that was my reading. I may be wrong.
No, it all depends on what level the person has fallen down. You cannot always give spiritual message. Sometime you'll have to tell, please, you cannot stay here. Isn't it? So it all depends on the case. If somebody if somebody has done something wrong, right? And the police are going to come behind him. They're going to file criminal cases against him. How can we shelter him? Who asked you to do that? Isn't it? You own concocted your own method, and then you got, complaints from so many donors, and then they filed a criminal case against you, and they'll think that temple is sheltering. So we have to say, yes, that is the reaction. That's a reaction. Life is not free. Just because one day you have joined Krishna consciousness movement, anything you can do, you cannot do. You have to be responsible. Our free will is given to us. You have to be responsible. So it all depends on case to case. That is why I said each case you have to see how much, compassion I can balance with the consequences to the institution. So Prabhupada would have decided. We do not know Prabhupada's mind, why Prabhupada said. I also know certain other places he said, why don't you file a police complaint? There are other cases where Prabhupada has said, file a police complaint. Why he has stolen money? Contextual. It is all contextual. So the only principle is compassion, balancing compassion and pleasure of Guru and Krishna. I cannot give compassion to an individual at the cost of displeasure to Prabhupada and Krishna's reputation. जय ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, जगत गुरु शील प्रभुपाद की जय।